Thank you for joining us tonight at the table. There's a couple things we want to talk about. First, again, we really appreciate you coming on to be with us. So tonight, actually, we're going to start off. We have a Breaking Bread giveaway. Listen to the end and we'll tell you the rules of how to win the Jay-Z and Beyonce tickets.
Hold on, those is real Jay-Z, Beyonce tickets? They're not old tickets.
Nah, they real.
So for real, Jay-Z, Beyonce On the Run 2 tour tickets.
Absolutely. It is July 25th, 2018, 7:30 p.m. at First Energy Stadium, rain or shine. I'd like to thank my good friend Chaz Cook for donating the tickets to us. We greatly appreciate you. Tip our hat, salute. Follow to the end to see how you can win these tickets. With that being said, I think today we want to talk about what warrants a call to the cops.
That's a good topic. What warrants a call to the cops? I think when you're in danger, right?
Mm-hmm.
If there's some danger, some
safety violation,
life or death type situation. I mean, what other reasons why would you call the cops though? I mean, some people call the cops if they need to walk to their car at night because of fear.
So I mean, you have 3 daughters,
right?
So your daughter's off at school, late class, lab just ended 9:30. You would want them to call an authority to help them get to.
Yeah, but I don't know if I have them call the cops. but I would understand if that's something they would do. But I think that life would have to. They would have to feel some type of pressure that would warrant them to call the cops. I mean, but why are we talking about the phone calls?
I would say recently, I think all of our timelines have been going crazy. I think the funniest meme, and it's not really funny, is the Oakland incident, the cookout.
Oh, I remember that.
For those that may not be familiar, and again, I'm no authority on the subject matter. I'm just a observation.
In the list, I don't know.
Observer. There we go. That's the word I'm going for. I'm an observer. A family was trying to do a cookout at the lake in Oakland. It seemed like a common event that they had been doing every spring, every summer. It sounds like, and the specific area that they had put their charcoal grill, and I think that's the piece that makes this unfortunately comical, is it was the type of grill that they had that warranted a lady who was just walking, saw that they had a charcoal grill in a non-charcoal grill area, and she called the cops.
So she was trying to follow the law.
She's also done this before.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there was a link to a bio of a friend that knows her that says she's done this before at the same park.
Well, so I'm a fight for her.
Okay.
Not that I agree.
Okay.
Not that I agree.
Okay, Kanye.
Hey, not that I agree. But charcoal in a non-warranted place.
In a non-charcoal place. So you can have a propane.
It was just unauthorized to have charcoal.
You had charcoal.
So does the smoke do something to the community?
I would think the reason behind the charcoal would be the mess involved. I would think it'd be the mess involved with charcoal. It's a lot messier than gas. So I'm assuming that the law is there because people probably were leaving charcoal and making a mess of the park. That wasn't an issue because they'd done this before, and even the bystanders said that it was clean, and even white bystanders were asking her why she was acting like this because that wasn't an issue at all.
Now, granted, to be fair, the video that they ran, at least that Kia and I saw, the lady who was like engaging in a conversation with her was a bit aggressive.
Yeah, she was a Caucasian female.
I don't know. We never saw. I think we have found out that she was, but she was very passionate about the subject. Like, why are you picking on this family? And what made it interesting for me is by the time you got to the end of the video, the one that called started to play the victim card when she was the one that initiated the piece. So going back kind of to the conversation at hand, do we believe that warranted a call to the cops?
I mean, okay, will she go up and say, hey, y'all can't have charcoal here?
That's how she led.
All right,
and
so hey, y'all can't do this here. And then they don't leave. And it's like, hey.
But what authority are you to tell me that I can't do this?
God, that's another.
So you're a civilian, just like I pay my taxes, you pay your taxes.
But as citizens, aren't we supposed to police each other?
I mean, the same thing was said about Trayvon Martin, right? That was that call there.
My point was, unless she's seen something being unsafe, or after the fact they left the mess, I could see her calling. But for her to call initially upon just seeing it, not even trying to have a responsible conversation with these people, she could admit, this is not authorized here.
So what about a sound ordinance? So we loud music in the neighborhood. You knock on the door, you're like, hey man, you gotta cut that down.
That affects me though.
And I'm like, forget you.
That's different though. That affects me.
But could the smoke and the charcoal, could that affect their
community?
Smoke
from gas grills too.
That's true.
Can you determine what smoke is from what grill?
All right.
So that was one incident. Let's go to another one. Another one was a sorority in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, I believe. Sigma Gamma Rho, I believe that was the sorority. They had sponsored a portion of the highway. So they were doing their community service, picking up litter on Saturday morning. A state trooper pulls up, said he got a call that somebody had been fighting. Asked the women what they were doing, asked to see their IDs. So they engaged in a conversation with them, told them what they were doing, who they represented. This was the community service. They even pointed to the sign that said Sigma Gamma Rho sponsored this portion of the highway. After he got their IDs, I guess fact checked, make sure everything was legit. He then gave them back their IDs and said, thank you, wish there was more people like you. So at this moment, one of the ladies actually shared with the officer how that encounter made her feel, especially when he asked to see their IDs after they kind of told them what profession they were, what organization they was representing. And he said, well, you could have not given me your IDs. And she went on to say, but if we would have did that, that would have escalated the situation. That could have turned this way, and this way. To the point where he just kind of disengaged in the conversation and just got back in his car and drove off.
Okay.
After he did reveal, though, that there was indeed no call made on behalf of somebody fighting. He just was driving, saw something that he wasn't accustomed to seeing, which was a group, I would assume, black women on the side picking up trash. So really wasn't a call made. It was just him driving, seeing something that was uncommon to him that prompted him. So,
but isn't he required to do a police report when he asked for IDs now?
I'm not sure.
And if he did that, then he probably falsified the report because there was no fight that he witnessed.
He probably had to put that down to say that's why he stopped and asked for the IDs.
But we don't know that.
We don't know.
To that point, no one called
Nobody called, but the idea when it first started was the reason he stopped was somebody called because they were fighting. So again, this is kind of a back end piece, but does that warrant kind of the cops? So let's put it this way. Does an organization doing community service that happens to be of all one race and background, what about that scene should have made the cops stop to pull over and inquire what was going on to the point where he asked for IDs?
Did they have a sorority? They had the colors on.
You have to have
everybody
like the neon.
Everybody had on their colors.
With they had a little vest on, the glove. You know how people be on.
No, they had sorority colors.
They had sorority colors on, but they did have gloves and had bags that showed that they were picking up trash.
Now they had an all orange jumpsuits he rode right by because that's normal for him.
right. Well, I'm gonna backtrack just 2 steps back.
Yeah.
I don't think she should have called the cops on the charcoal.
Okay.
Now, if a bunch of women standing on the side of a highway,
Side of the highway
with trash bags, I would assume that's common sense. They're picking up trash, but I wouldn't. Even if they're fighting,
who would go to the highway to fight?
Right. Like, that's what I'm trying to understand.
When we meet somewhere else, if that was the case.
But then to her point, to stop them and then stop the cop and then ask him, further like, inquiring, drawing that conversation, it unfolds that, all right, no one called, I just stopped. Because when you first start saying the story, I'm like, damn, why don't you just leave him alone? Like, let the man go. But it's almost like that was needed.
But holding them accountable.
Yeah.
And I think the other piece was, again, the way I read the story was, what partly made them feel that way was the fact that it was on the side of the highway. His car was on with lights going. So as other people are driving by, they seeing them being interrogated. And I use that loosely in conversation with the state trooper.
With your brand on, with your Sigma Gamma Rho brand on. And if we were in Philly and you happen to have some previous, like Meek Mill, you could actually go to jail now.
Just so you felt that encounter.
Because he had that conversation with the person. So this is all happening this week. What I know you're speaking of one.
There was I think she was a 65-year-old lady that was arrested recently, and she was pulled out of her car and she was manhandled. And upon the initial arrest, she's telling them, "I want to speak to a supervisor." One cop tells her to shut the F up and is really aggressive with her, and they throw her in the car and take her away. She's a 65-year-old black elderly woman.
That's similar to the dude at the Waffle House too, right? The young dude at the prom and got slammed because of that. So I guess someone called the cops there too. So okay, here we go. Because it seems like we having trouble kind of deciding when it's good or not to call the police.
Or have the police involved or engaged in the situation.
What do you guys think? Keep in mind, in order to get these, I would suggest you participate, whether it be likes, comments, shares. But what is some of the things you think we should? And I think we're looking at it live. So if you are commenting, we could go ahead and pull that up. But I guess overall, though, what we're getting at, engaging the authorities. Do we even feel like we as people trust the authorities, or just people in general trust the authorities to a degree that when they are coming in to engage with us, we kind of get on the defensive end? Or do you think we give them the benefit of the doubt? Like, hey, because in all three of those instances, other than the female and the Waffle House, they allowed them to have the cookout in the...
Yes, so the way that the cookout in Oakland resolved was the authorities did eventually come. Now, granted, it was also kind of hilarious. It took them a while to show up. Which is what also frustrated the lady that called. But there was no citations issued, and the family was able to go ahead and proceed to having their cookout. And then city council members even addressed it and said that there just need to be clarity associated with it as well.
But then I think there's like a bunch of neighborhood people that pulled up and they all started dancing and partying.
Yeah, so like they did electric slide or something.
Yeah.
Then I know where you're trying to go. There was 2 Yale students as well that was piece. So kind of to your point, do we trust? I guess let's talk about trust for a second. It's funny. I went to this past Saturday. I was at Man Cave and for church, and one of the topics of conversation was trust. And how do you deal with trust? And one of the things that I shared, and I don't mind saying this out loud, was for me, trust isn't necessarily really high on my criteria because I don't have expectations of people. So do I trust the police is really hard to say. I know people that are in law enforcement. My best friend's father is a cop. My father-in-law is a retired sheriff deputy. So I know that there are men of honor and integrity that hold the badge or that have held it. Do I trust them? Yes, but as a blanket statement, I guess it's hard for me to say I trust law enforcement wholeheartedly because unfortunately the expectations that I have of people that hold those positions isn't what I probably had when I was a 10-year-old boy that kind of respected and trusted law enforcement. What about you guys?
My situation is a little different. My family, from the time we were younger, we were kind of brought up in an atmosphere where you don't tell the police. I mean,
no snitching.
No snitching. Snitches get stitches, I believe. You know what I mean? So in our family, what happens? Our house stays in the house. You don't trust police. At the same time, my best friend's dad was a cop who spent a lot of time with me. So I was always in the middle. As far as Now I think things are a little different now because I didn't realize how often these other incidents occur. So at one point, I really trust the police.
So
at this point, I'm not so sure.
So the frequency of incidents. So do we think that in today's time, these things are happening more than they happened in the past, or with media and cell phones now, the exposure of these incidents are just happening more visually for us?
I think they're being exposed. And they've been going on. When I was in the military, I was stationed with a guy from Los Angeles, and he was telling me stories about the police officers. And this is in 1988, and it was bad, man. I mean, there was a lot of corruption, a lot of crazy things going on. So I think it's been going on. And then having family from down south, I've heard all kind of stories. Police pulling up with sheriffs to handle things off books. You know what I mean? So I think now it's just being exposed. I think to a lot of people that aren't of color, they're shocked. I think there's some really good people looking at this like, is this really going on? That have been hearing these stories but never had proof of it. Like, if that really happened in Compton, what is your cousin doing in Compton? Does he live like, you know what I mean?
Which is no different than the media back in Martin Luther King day and time, where they had to reveal or show that this is actually happening in our communities.
Right.
I mean, they putting dogs on us and they're actually having fire hoses shot onto us. But I mean, when it comes to trusting police, I think I do trust the office of a police officer, but I can't necessarily say I trust the way they use that. What I mean by every encounter that I've had with a police officer, whether it was my fault or not, it almost always presented themselves as, I'm the authoritative figure and you must do what I say, how I say it, when I say it. And if you divert from that in any shape, form, or fashion, it gives me the right to apply mostly physical force, right? And then I think that puts us in a situation where individuals that are, I guess, I'm just saying, I ain't gonna say a certain group, that puts people in a situation where you may trust them, but you don't know what's gonna happen, because 9 times out of 10, they can use physical force and they won't be held accountable to that. And so then you have people that don't know how to resolve issues themselves. For example, the woman with at the charcoal, if she simply said, hey, listen, the reason why we don't want that here is because of smoke or whatever happens. Could you guys look out for that? Yeah, we can look out for that. Thank you. Matter of fact, you can have a brat, right? But because she felt like she couldn't have that tough conversation, she called someone that she felt was in a position to handle it. So that's kind of how I would assume that they were approaching it.
So what do you guys think? Do you think, what's the right time to call law enforcement and really engage? We're open to hearing what you guys think. I know based upon the experience that each of us have kind of may draw kind of a different perspective.
And we have some people on the line who's called in. Arnika, what do you think? What do you think about, I'm glad you called in. What do you think about people calling police?
Well, on the one situation, I think that we were talking about with the charcoal situation, I'll be honest, I think that she should have called, because we don't know if there was like an environmental issue, if they didn't follow the rules that could have happened in her neighborhood, and she's just trying to protect the neighborhood. I'm not necessarily sure if it was black. It was just, she tried to have a conversation and ask them to, conform to the policies, and they didn't. So she gave them an opportunity and they didn't. No, she's not a person of authority, but she was a person trying to enforce the rules that were set forth by whoever, whether it be Parks and Recs, and she gave them an opportunity and they didn't follow. I don't see a problem with calling the police, because again, if she's trying to do anything to protect her neighborhood or her home, I don't know if they're using a different kind of charcoal or that could cause something to combust, and she's worried about her house. So, I can't fault her for that. I think she gave them an opportunity to shut it down and they didn't.
That's why I was going with it.
Yeah.
So we have some additional comments. So Chaz, I appreciate that law enforcement has a tough job, but I've never felt comfortable that their interests are always aligned with mine.
Okay.
Then we have another comment from Pamela. This is racial profiling at its finest. The use of race or ethnicity as grounds for suspecting someone having committed an offense. In your discussion, you mentioned the idea that these instances where folks are calling police to file a complaint, report suspicions, where things are complainers we're not accustomed to seeing. When you are put up against images of black folks and they are accustomed to seeing, they're very real possibility that they are interested in challenging their views on black people. Where you might have it, it's not so much that it shouldn't be suspicious, it's why. Why, in this case, are they concerned, therefore compelled to call the police?
Okay, so let's go. I like this. So let's go back to Arnika's point. So, okay, yeah, you felt that she had a right to call for whatever reason. I mean, we could justify or not justify the reason for her calling.
But why police, though? Why not the park authorities?
Who has time for that? I'm going to look up the park authorities when my house could be burned down? No.
Her house is in the
park. Now, that's kind of dramatic.
Well, I'm just saying, okay, or my house could be burning down. Or again, if you don't know what kind of fumes that could be set off in the environment, or if my kids are playing in the park, and again, I don't know necessarily just because they were black. I mean, again,
Could we be blowing it out of proportion?
I think so, because
in this case,
because she did ask. I can see if she just off the rip didn't even go up to them and say anything. She just called the police. She did ask them to not do it. She did point out that it was wrong. Hey, this is what you're supposed to do. She didn't even have to do that. She could have called the police off the rip, but she didn't. She gave them an opportunity to kind of right the ship, and they didn't. They chose not to.
So the question is, if they were white, do we think they would have called the police?
I don't know. I'm not in her mind. I mean,
but we could speculate. So for the sake of speculation, do we think she would have been more comfortable with seeing a white family having a cookout on the lake at that park? Or was it the imagery of seeing the black family at the lake having a cookout is what prompted the call?
But do you think the white people would have been more compliant when she brought it to their attention that, hey, you're violating park rules? Do we think the white people would have been more compliant versus us being on the defense?
And then you could ask the question, if a black person called on the black people, would there be an issue? Meaning, if I was a black guy or female walks up to them and say, hey man, you know how sometimes or my family would be, and I'm sorry family if you know, if we cooking out and you come up and you like, hey, you need to put that up. Our first order, like, hey man, you don't tell us what we gonna do and what we gonna. Matter of fact, gas, boom. We're gonna try to I guess prove the point. You know what I mean? So, and if that was one of those situations, which I'm not saying it was, then you could be in a dangerous spot. So I mean, with that topic, I don't know. I mean, like you said, I don't know if we could say that or not say it.
I just think if there's not a safety violation or if it's not an immediate safety issue, I just can't see it involving the police.
But to her point, it is a safety violation. Fumes, something could burn down. Charcoal, you know, she's saying in her mind there could have been a safety violation.
So she's so community conscious that she's worried about this, but she's not worried about taking the cop away to identify this. And there could be we're in Oakland,
so that was an interesting.
We are in Oakland,
that the city council member brought in, like the resources that we have and how we utilize those resources. That does take away from the ability to monitor another situation.
Yeah.
So let's go with Chaz's comment about, do we believe that the interest of law enforcement is aligned with ours? So again, the prompting of the call, the mindset now to say it's hard for me to trust because are they trying to de-escalate a potential situation between two civilians if we're making this kind of the narrative, or the overall concern now kind of play back the whole Starbucks incident, like you're now putting the police in a position that they have to make a tough choice, which we see now. We've kind of seen this thing go two ways. With the Starbucks thing, a complaint was called and they had to pull them away. In this one, they were able to de-escalate without issuing a citation. So,
but I think it's always going to be in the best interest of the caller, not the one being called on.
So what's the difference in between the two situations, Starbucks and this one? Because Starbucks policy is if you don't buy anything, you can't use the restroom.
I think it's private property. If I were to say that the biggest thing, the difference is a park, especially park and recreation, is a shared space versus a business that this is my private. So if I don't want you in my business, regardless of what warranted like the call, and you refuse to leave, then I'm calling law enforcement to help you get out of my business.
I just think unless there's drug use or the fire's getting out of hand, I just think there's a way of handling it. I think that at some point we got to start using common sense and human decency. Why can't I just have a conversation with you? Hey, Joe, this is not legal here. And in the future, if I see you do it again, I'm probably going to call the authorities. That would they probably be like, okay. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how that would work, but that came off a lot better than, because I just spent all this time putting this together. Let's be honest, man. We bought food and we set up the charcoal. Let's be honest, man. We're not going nowhere.
Not today.
Not today. Not for at least 4 hours. These ribs get done. But I think there was a way for her to handle that, and it probably could have been a better situation for both of them.
But to Chaz's point, is it in our best? Kia, do you believe that when the authorities are called, that it's in your best interest? Is it in the best interest of both parties, or it's always in the interest of the one that's calling, or it's not in the interest of either or? If you don't want to say nothing, don't say it. But
I'll pass.
Okay, she'll pass.
I think it can be in the both best interest of both because it depends. Because at that point, when you have authority, you have an additional person that can provide some kind of neutrality if they can. It doesn't happen all the time, but it can be on the best interest of both sometimes.
So let's get to Pam's point about racial profiling. So now, if you aren't accustomed to seeing this imagery, so like at this civilian walking through the park on this lovely day, you stumble across a group of African Americans as a family unit, father, mother, kids, dog, having a good old time, and you're not accustomed to seeing this imagery. Is that okay to warrant the call? Because that's something that you haven't seen that before.
Man, you putting it in a different context.
Well, I've never seen 5 Asian family members roller skating down the street. If I see that, I'm not gonna call the police.
Say that again.
I've never seen five Asian family members roller skating down the street either. I'm not gonna see that and call the police. You know what I mean? I think that there's a certain fear of black people. I know people don't want to talk about it, but there's a certain fear of black, especially when you're not familiar with us. You know, I had a friend ask me once that he said he gets nervous when we get together and we start laughing and talking.
So,
you know what I mean?
So Radiat Online says, to Chaz's point, this is clearly an issue of race. The discomfort that arises when a white person, because of the presence or action of black people, seems to automatically equate to a threat or danger.
That's deep. That's deep.
Well, I got a story to share. Years ago, a gentleman's riding down 270, and there's a young kid driving crazy. He's driving it crazy the whole way to 270. The old man is scared until he starts taunting the old man. Well, I start following him, trying to see what's going on. The old man gets off on 161. I get off on 161, so it's a little kid. So the kid's yelling at the old guy for not driving right. He's knocking on the door. He's yelling and screaming. And the guy is scared. The guys inside the car won't get out. He's probably in his 70s. I go over like, what's going on, man? So the lady seen it, the little altercation going on, called the police. As soon as the police pulled up, they came straight for me. They came straight for me and they put me in the back of the car. If it wasn't for the lady in the gas station saying, wait a minute, he was trying to, calm the situation. He was and then they spoke to him. So, and that's not the first time that I've been in a situation where initially I was the first person spoken to and asked questions about.
So I have something too, kind of not as traumatic as that. But I know there have been certain times, like within the corporate structure, where we've tried to, and I'll say we, African Americans within said organization have tried to come together, like even for lunch, right? And when you see kind of in the middle of the cafeteria, a group of black people sitting, having lunch, just engaging in conversation, I've noticed in observation that you see kind of people kind of do the double take. But what has always drawn interest of me is other cultures that have lunch. So if there's a group of Indian associates that are having lunch together, a group of Asian associates having lunch together, people walk by back and forth without any type of hesitation of kind of turn back and look. So I will say I do think there is something uncomfortable about seeing a group of black people conjugated together, and not to say that it's all negative, but I do think there's something with that imagery that isn't familiar to people, because again, unfortunately, if I'm assuming positive intent, I think it's something that there's not enough of those type of things taking place for people to kind of normalize that activity. At least.
How would we have to navigate in this culture, world, whatever, to make people feel safe, if you will, or to help desensitize them to us being whatever they portray us as? How would we then do that? Like, because I'm bringing my family, mailing my $3, and we setting up a charcoal grill, or we hanging out with you. I mean, in my understanding, all right, I'm doing enough to kind of show you I'm family oriented. I eat. So how would we navigate? How would someone like in our situation navigate?
So let's ask the group. What do you guys think? Is there one? I guess let's think about this two ways. Is it our responsibility to show that And then two, if it is, even if it isn't, what are ways that we as a community or individuals can try to help shift the narrative or change the imagery associated with our community?
Or not support it, like sharing foolishness on social media. You see 3 people fighting and you're like, check this out. So now you 1.2 million, 60 million views over what shouldn't have been shared in the first place. So okay, that's a good question.
So to that point, let's state that like the world star. You talking like world star stuff?
World star type. What is it?
But you cut out World Star and I can turn on Housewives of Atlanta.
That's what I'm saying. Something like that.
On VH1, they're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
On cable.
Reality TV.
Yeah.
So I think we have a comment.
So ET says we need to control our imagery.
Okay. ET, give us more, because I like that. Give us more, just ideas. We just shooting off the cuff here.
Well, one thing is we all have to take personal responsibility and realize that we all, whether we want to admit it or not, we all represent each other. I mean, that's just the reality of it. I know we want to say we're all individuals, and ideally but it's not what's really the reality of it all. And I think we have been doing this for so long. We're like, no, I don't know, but really we do, and we need to take that seriously.
I think that's what the problem was with Kanye. It's like, hey man, you said something that you ain't representing the masses. You know what I mean? Like, I get your point. We understand you may have different directions, but again, the masses. You're supposed to be representing us.
Right.
So I think one of the things is I think we can continue to show the diversity of ourselves, right? So I will tell you that it was a conscious decision that I made. When I decided to start growing my hair out, right? It was a decision that I wanted to change some of how people perceive those that had males that had kind of the hair that I now have, right? So before I was, wave Caesar all around, like make you seasick. But I recognize that in a corporate office, like me having the type of hair that I have now does cause a little bit of, at least a little kind of a. Now, granted, what I love about what it has done is I have lots of colleagues that my people that yo Rob, I love your hair, love. So I'm hoping from my little piece that Rob Smith at said company, I know him, I seen his son, like all the things that I live by, that the imagery of me now. So when they see another guy on the street that wears a similar style cut, it doesn't automatically go to a certain place. They can say, okay, he might be like Rob.
Yep.
So.
And that's funny you said it, because I wear hats and shoes at my corporate offices as well. And some days I wish I don't want to wear it, but you almost feel like there's a purpose, there's a cause that I have to present for a number of reasons. For me, it's again to show people, hey, we are not what you perceive us to be, but we also have a bunch of individuals that are entry level hires that I'm showing, hey, you can be in leadership roles too, just as you are. But there are days I'm like,
I think we have 2 comments.
Okay, good.
So Jerry says we need to challenge the media stereotype of African Americans.
Agreed.
Radiette says to Joe's question of how do we navigate, she says time and intentionality in engaging ourselves with the white community. For instance, a black woman showing up to a corporate job with natural hair was a major unspoken no-no. Today in 2018, we have not only been showing up to work with our God-given hair, but it has changed the norm, the combo, the comfortability of whites for us. We have owned it. Chaz says, great points above. There isn't a wide enough spectrum of who we are on public display. It trends towards drama while the image of the Cosby family is sunsetting in people's minds.
Well, one thing I think is that our relationships are going to be different in the sense that it's a numbers game. Like, we as black people, we all know many white people. I mean, if you went to school, if you work, we're around them now. There's still, do the numbers. There's still, I know a lot of Caucasian friends that really have no contact with black people. So the few contacts they've had, if you don't act like Darren or, his family, then I'm a little uneven with unsure about this.
But to Radia's point, kind of being intentional, I think I think Breaking Bread is a good example, right? So intentional conversations, us being intentional of having kind of this type of dialogue and opening the table for all communities to kind of come. So as we're learning more about them, they're learning more about us. So hopefully over the course of time, we have more shared positive interactions with each other that hopefully start to change the narrative. I think the same could be said with law enforcement as well. If the only time I ever engage with the law enforcement is based upon me doing something wrong, I'm always going to associate that interaction with the negative. But if I were to build a relationship with the cop just off of, hey, you like sneakers, I like sneakers too, what's your top 3 kicks? Hopefully things like that might shift how I think about cops, so that the next time I engage, hey, this guy's just got a job to do, he's trying to get home to his family, like I'm trying to get home to mine.
Yeah. And I know our conversation, and I'm just saying this because I feel this way, we kind of like generalizing like whites, blacks. I have a bunch of white friends, and this is just for the sake of, don't take this as a general, we're not generalizing all white people to think like this. So I do want to say that, because I do have a few white buddies.
A few?
They
you
go,
can count them on one hand?
No. I mean, they actually go overboard. They too comfortable with you have to be like, hey man, you can't do that.
That's a whole other conversation.
So I do want to say, and we're still cool. So I don't want it to, even when you're watching this video, and I know we're like 30 minutes into this thing, it almost sounds like, black versus white. I don't want it to have that assumption.
Yeah, I definitely don't think that.
Okay.
I love the fact that I take a lot of pride in having a very diverse friend group, and I'm very quick to identify those that I build a bond with, right? Like there's a connection, like this person gets it, like there's a shared connectivity. I can count on 2 hands people that, the same way that I have my best friends and my day one guys that I've kind of grown up with, I have people other than just white that I could say I built a similar type of rapport with. And I would hope that I'm not their only black friend, if I'm being honest, but even if I am, it doesn't shift the way that I look at that relationship or friendship. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, if I am not of color, do I have responsibility to reach out? Do I have responsibility to learn more about other races?
I think as a human being, we should all be curious to learn about other cultures.
Oh, I mean, I agree with that, but I know there's probably some people like, why do I have to get to know them?
I think it's part of taking ownership and shaping the culture you want. If you sit back and hope that it changes on the backs of somebody else's actions, then you could be waiting for years. I know it's 8:30 now.
Yeah, I think we are kind of at a good place, but we have 2 more comments. Let's get these, and then we can share with you how you can win these great tickets.
So Chaz, numbers game is also a good point, but how have all the other undeserved groups seemingly passed the progress we pushed to make? Gay, lesbian, for example. And then Jerry says because they are not bound, to one race bucket.
I think that's, we've actually kind of talked a little bit about that before, and I think that by itself is a great conversation that we should probably pick up with the next. And just to kind of tease it a little bit, I know when Joe and I have kind of talked about it, is it the agendas that people have set forth? So let's make that maybe a topic of conversation for the future. So actually, one more. Kia's letting us know these are coming in hot now.
And keep them coming, because these comments could shape the conversations we have in the future.
Yep.
So anything
sharing.
you want us to talk about, drop it.
So Chaz says, but if gay lesbian was only a black issue, it wouldn't be as accepted.
He's right.
It's a race issue. Pam says the cultural experience. The cultural experience of blackness is super diverse. There are all kinds of black people. There needs to be a balance of representation of blackness. I think if we controlled more of our own images, to E.T.'s point, we could have better outcomes. Then Radiette says, we no longer live in a community-based mindset, therefore it's difficult to engage in conversation with other groups that don't look or live like us.
This is all good stuff.
This is great. And I'm interested in controlling the image. So those that said that, leave your information on the bottom. I don't know how we're going to do it. I'll reach out. I like to put something together to see how, some ideas. Not that we actually go to work, but some ideas on how we can do that.
So let's get to how you can win these tickets. So this has been hopefully the first of many Breaking Bread live streams. We really hope to utilize this tool as we kind of shared in the YouTube videos that we've done to really bring more people to the table. And I think today was a great demonstration of that. We're learning how to optimize this. So again, you're going through this journey with us. So me trying to read comments and having the sound on, my bad. Never done this before. I own it. Kia is the narrator in the backdrop, so she's gonna read out the comments. I think we have a process that's working out. But how to win these concert tickets? So really, what we were looking for is to get what we're trying to do out. So what we're hoping that you would do is comment in the video, tell us what you liked about the video, what conversations you would like us to have in the future. Follow us on Instagram, Breaking Bread Ohio, and then share the video. Share what we're trying to do to bring more people to the table. I think we have a huge opportunity to be able to really shift and create the type of environment that we want. And we're doing our part, and we need your help and support to continue to push the narrative that we're trying to put out there, that intentional conversations, authentic listening with the goal of seeking understanding, hopefully will one day bridge the gap and kind of close the divisiveness that we're seeing. Any last comments that you guys?
Will we advertise future, maybe a week or two before?
Yeah, I think let's just go on the record. Every other week, we're going to try to do a Facebook Live.
So every other week, and I also encourage you to send someone to this page that has drastically opposing views, that are not afraid to communicate them. We may even get to a point where we can have you call in.
Yep.
And have a candid conversation that way, so that the conversation isn't one-sided necessarily. Not that it was today, but just so that.
And I think kind of to that point, if you are local in Columbus and you would like to come, definitely reach out. My information, you can slide in my DMs, pun intended, to express an interest to come sit at the table. All are welcome. Darren?
I would say have a conversation with somebody this week that you normally wouldn't have a conversation with. It starts one conversation that can build a relationship.
That's a great challenge. So if you have that conversation, and to Darren's challenge, share with us how it went. Let us know, how did it go? If you thought about anything, and when you share it, if you don't feel like sharing it on the group page and you just want to post it on your personal, use hashtag Breaking Bread, hashtag Let's Talk, hashtag Bursting Bubbles, because what we really are trying to do is kind of going back and burst these bubbles and really try to bring out a much closer, tighter community.
And it could be as simple as, hi, my name is Darren, and from there, it doesn't have to be an elaborate, long conversation, but just get to know somebody.
Yeah.
See, that's wisdom, guys. I mean, us young folks don't have nothing.
Well, thank you. And Beyonce tickets.
Peace.